So my project is entitled Sumio Doi and Historical Thinking Skills. In this project, I use the story of Sumio Doi, a Japanese-American man who returned from the Grenada internment camp in January 1945 and suffered from brutal harassment and was terrorized by two local AWOL soldiers and a rancher who owned a farm next to his. They were famously tried but acquitted on charges of arson and terrorism, offering no defense but declaring to the jury that this is a white man's country, so let's keep it that way. I use this story to attempt to teach middle school and high school aged children historical thinking skills, focusing on close reading, sourcing, and cooperation. My goal is to help instill critical thinking into curriculums which are too focused on taking standardized tests and not enough on creating actually intelligent adults. I believe this in turn will help create more productive adults who can contribute to society in a more intelligent manner by being able to better assess rhetoric and realize biases. Teaching historical thinking skills in classrooms in this context would transform history's perception in modern society as one focused on archaic information and one which is practical and useful study. I do this by creating activities broken into two sections, one focusing on close reading and another focusing on sourcing and cooperation. So looking at the close reading here, I use 11 articles from various newspapers around the country, such as the Los Angeles Times, the New York Times, and the Sacramento Bee, to examine change over time in language as well as structural items such as length, page breaks, and so on. At the end of this section in the activities, I have students do the same thing with two modern articles of their choice to practice this in a modern context. The goal of this section is to help students familiarize themselves with close reading skills and how it can be applied to written information in websites and newspapers. In the sourcing and cooperation section, I use just 8 articles from two different Japanese American newspapers from the time, the Pacific Citizen and the Grenada Pioneer, a newspaper published within the internment camp Sumio Doi was imprisoned in from 1942 to 1945. I have students cross-reference the articles which were published on the same topic or around the same time, as you can see here, to see how they differ and also examine how authors' backgrounds and publications' backgrounds and a possibility of censorship which affected the Grenada Pioneer may have affected pieces. I also have students take these articles and compare them to the previous set of articles in the close reading section to see how they differ, as those pieces were almost definitely written by non-Japanese American authors. I end this section by finding students find their own article and practice what they've learned about sourcing in particular. I intend for this project to be for middle school and high school kids, since I believe these skills need to be started early. That said, it's relatively brief, but that's by design. Teachers do not have a ton of flexibility and cannot practically implement a multi-week project without having to find things to cut in an already cramped schedule. I hope this project can help students learn the values of historical thinking skills and also how critical thinking can be applied in everyday life.